fly the javelin from a full run. And so have many others. It's not just me. Turns out I had kind of a background in flight. I threw frisbees, I threw sand dollars. We have sand dollars in the Pacific Northwest, these round things you can throw, model gliders and other things like that. I went to the national championships my senior year in high school, the best at that time of 248 feet, or 214 feet. I was not back to my original form, and saw there were kids there throwing who had bests of 230 feet, 70 meters for you meter people. But that day they were throwing like this. They were missing the point horribly. And I thought to myself, they're never gonna throw far that way. And sure enough, these guys choked. They threw like 208, 209. I squeaked through and won it with 226 because I was trying to fly the javelin. Then some 45 years later, I was coaching a gal at Pacific Lutheran University near Seattle, and her best was about 142. I don't know if you can see her. There she is. And she went to her Division III Nationals and saw the big girls who were throwing 160. Well, they were doing the same thing. They were skying them like this. And they were trying to throw harder and harder. And they were skying them worse and worse. And she said, I wasn't going to tell them that they needed to get their point down and glide the javelin. Well, they did. They got their point down, glided the javelin. Or no, she did. She glided the javelin out to 150. The other girls were still struggling through 140, and she won it. She won it because she paid attention to flight, just like I did back in 1973. So, and I've seen it in my career ever since then. The international competitions I was in, and then 10 years as a USATF biomechanics guy, I saw there was a lot of discussion about release velocity. What's the most important thing? Release velocity. And we'd get these results back. I did some biomechanics work with them where the release velocity was very high, but the distance not so high. What's the deal? Turns out they had terrible angle of attack, and the javelin was too steep. So I got to tell you, it's not just release velocity, it's release velocity in the alignment, which John, who did a wonderful job in his presentation earlier, said the angle of inclination of the javelin about 34 to 38 degrees. So let me see if I can successfully share a screen. And I want to share a little movie that I have about angles. Not that one. And then we'll get a look at, here it is. Okay, so I wish to now share my screen, Kibwe. I'm going to push share screen. And it's this one here. And I'm going to push share. And let's see what happens. Can we all see that?
Perfect.
Do we have it? Okay, great. I watched Mac's presentation and I thought, wow, that could be me. That could be me struggling with that stuff. So here we have, this is a decathlon guy, and this is Bro Greer showing ghastly left leg form. It was amazing how silent the javelin world was when Bro came along, throwing far with a bent left leg. No one could explain it. Some of us could, but it wasn't important. Anyway, let's look at the main angles that we're dealing with in the javelin. The first angle is where the javelin is pointing, and we're going to call that, like everybody else calls it, the angle of inclination. And we've got it. Okay, so that they're still holding on to it, and then they both release it. The attitude angle, that's the other name for it. And for Bro, he's at 34.7. For our hapless decathlon guy, 53.4. So here's the big hint for him. I have a saying in Finland, in fact. Too high, throw lower. That's it, throw lower. So I'd had this guy throw lower. Very important to get that angle way, way down. It's actually one of the main things. I've interviewed many throwers over the years. How did you learn to throw the javelin far? What was the key to flying the javelin far? Oh, I learned to throw lower. And so it's really worth working on. So we've got our attitude angle at 53. The next angle is the release angle. The decathlete's throwing at 37 degrees. Bro is throwing at 38. Now, what is the release angle? I think it's one of the most misnamed things. It should be called the power angle. It's the line that the power is being delivered on, okay? Very important. So then the difference between those two, where's the power going and where's the implement going, is called the attack angle. And we have that in green here. And on Bro's side, he has a negative -4, about almost -4 degree angle. That means he's throwing, his power is going over the top of the javelin. And I have some other illustrations about this here too. So we've really got to get a handle on it, because this attack angle that this decathlon guy has of 16.4 degrees, that is producing a lot of drag. And the key, you want a high release speed, you got to have a low attack angle. That means you got to be driving right through the point. Then there's not much resistance and the javelin jumps out of your hand. It's really cool. So that's what I hope we all end up doing. Okay, so the decathlon guy throws 158, 48 meters, and our hero Bro throws 270, 82 meters. Okay, there's some other stuff going on there, but I'll tell you, if Bro had this giant attack angle, he wouldn't be throwing no 270. Okay, there's that. And the ultimate angle that you want to throw at, we're looking at 34 to 38 degrees, a little lower in a headwind, a little higher in a tailwind. That relies on a javelin person being able to adjust their angle, and not everyone can do that. It's a critical skill to develop, and it's really worth doing. Now, maybe some of you have heard of the Magnus effect. That's the effect of a spinning cylinder with a crosswind, with a wind on it, creating lift. The demonstration is usually they drop a basketball off of a high point and spin it, and it goes somewhere. Yes, Bro is a physical specimen. That made a big difference too. I see Mary making a comment. The Magnus effect appears to be insignificant. No one has really been able to measure it or use it or understand or see that it makes much of a difference in, I think, in javelin throwing. I think if it's going to make enough of a difference, it has to be so much of a crosswind, it's going to blow the javelin out of the sector. Also, the type of grip. I hear a lot of stuff about, oh, you can't spin it with the fork grip, or you got to use it. You see all sorts of, I remember being told you can't spin it with the fork grip. We did some high-speed filming one time. It spins the same. It spins the same. It spun the same off us, and I used to get a big thing on the end of my finger because it would let go and spin it. So I don't think that those are worth the attention of the athlete or the coach to spend much time on. Now, different grips make a big difference with some of the control that the javelin throwers are going to have, and that's legit. Some people get much better control with the so-called American grip or Finnish grip, not control with the fork grip. Other people get control with the fork grip. So try the grips, get the one you have the most control with. Our next big point, and I've got another clip to share here, is well, a rear view. Let's go to a screen sharing, another screen sharing here. I'm going to click screen sharing, and I want to do this one, and that's this one. Are we there? Share me. Okay. Thank you. And if we look on the left, you'll see a throw that's, oh, it's crooked, all right? Really crooked. She misses it to the side, because you can also miss the javelin. This is called yaw. So my coaching advice to this gal was, again, not too complicated, try to throw it straighter. And she produced the throw on the right, way straighter, much better. So sometimes different language works better with different people. I think in that case, you can use attitude of attitude angle, and you can use yaw and pitch and a bunch of the technical terms. The athletes don't understand them usually. Try to throw it straight. Try to throw it so it lands lands flat. Things like that seem to work pretty well. And let's go to another clip here that I think makes a lot of sense. Okay, how to practice throwing through the point. A great first thing to do is to practice throwing where the power is and where the javelin. Throwing under it deliberately. She's deliberately throwing under it here. That way she knows, well, that's not right. And if we look at the forces in that kind, okay, so the red line's her javelin angle, and now see this alteration she's got here? Very classic in people losing the point, they throw under it. Now when she applies her force, the javelin angle is up now.
Can you share that?
Power, what?
Can you share that? We're not seeing your video.
Not seeing the video?
No, sir.
How can that be? Share screen, this one, share.
There we go.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. She takes a throw, deliberately throws under the javelin. Whoa. And here's a big thing to look at for flight. When the nose rises faster than the tail, that's a positive angle of attack. And that's the classic one. That's the classic mistake that people make. Now we're going to look at the javelin angle compared to the power angle. As she throws, she drops the tail of the javelin, and that's another big point that I've actually had some coaching success with. Coaching success is hard to get in javelin. You can talk about don't raise the point. That doesn't seem to work as well as don't drop the tail. So she drops the tail just like you normally would, and so that makes her javelin angle go much higher. And now when she puts her power into it, well, the power is going to be along this line. You can see it's the way to see where the power goes is to look at the flight of the javelin handle. And we'll see the javelin handle goes pretty much in a straight line with that nose way up in the air. So she's throwing way under it here. But again, this is deliberate. So she's got one under, and then the next one, she's going to try to throw over the point. And that's a good thing to do because you learn how to control the angle. Now she drops it. You can see her raise the tail too much and drop the javelin point, and she throws over the point like that. That's a very useful thing to learn control for. So we've got an angle like this. Sure enough, she drops it under. Now she's got a slightly declined javelin, but the javelin handle, look at the direction of the javelin handle. It goes up should be revealed here in that line. Okay, so that is a negative angle of attack. And you can also tell by the way that the javelin flies, the tail rises more than the point, and it hits and usually sticks and pulls in the ground. Then the third throw of this group is trying to throw right through the point. So you get sort of over, under, and then zip just about, not quite perfect, but right through the point. So that's really the summary of it. You have to develop a sense for where the power is going, and her power in this case is going just about parallel to the javelin. It is a skill, and it is a skill that I'm afraid doesn't get practiced to the extent that it should. Yes. So here's a big piece of advice too. Try to look in the direction of the throw. Let's see if she do it here. Yeah, she did it. Okay, not hard, but it seems to make a difference in helping people align. So I'm going to stop screen sharing now. All right. So now we're back. trajectory. So it's really worth going out to the javelin field and making these kinds of throws many in a row, until the kid can actually do it, not just get lucky. It's important to have that figured out. So trajectory. And we're going to try screen sharing again. It's going to get this one. I'm going to say share. That was better. So most people think, where should I throw the javelin? Here's the javelin field. We have wonderful line of trees right at the end, which is very, very useful. I've been to places where there's nothing for acres, and it's a problem. A lot of javelins think that your trajectory should look like a rainbow. Well, you don't want a rainbow. That's not a good javelin flight. It's too high in the beginning, and it's small in the fall. It's much better